Garmin DriveSmart 65. Yeah, I got one. Yep, there it is. Built-in traffic receiver, which means, actually before I get into that, yep, I updated everything. This was received in the exact way I like it, which is someone bought it, never updated it, and then I was able to update it myself, which is good. Can you believe this is from 2019? Yeah, it's 5 years old now. Whew. This is nuts. Why did I get it? Because I was able to get it cheap. I was able to source one of these for under $60 shipped, and I got it, and this is the biggest one I've ever owned. 6.95 inch display, which is effectively 7 inch. To put that in perspective, if you know car stereos at all, if you look at what's called a double DIN size, DIN, that's about what this size is. So just to put that in perspective, like, well, what does that mean? You know, now you know what the size means. So there have been a bunch of videos on this over the years, so what I am going to do is make comparisons to the DriveSmart 66, which I also own, and the DriveSmart 76, because there is a bit of confusion, a little bit. And let's get this out of the way first. Okay, this is a 6.95 inch display. The DriveSmart 66 is a 6 inch display, meaning it is 1 inch smaller. The DriveSmart 76 is the same screen size at 6.95 inch diagonal as the DriveSmart 65. So if you have a 65, you're like, well, I wanted to go to the next model, but I want to keep the same screen size. You would go with the DriveSmart 76 instead of a 66. However, again, this gets interesting. The DriveSmart 66 has a 1280-720 display, and this has a 1024-600 display. I think that's what it is. Anyway, the resolution is less on this. And interestingly, I believe the DriveSmart 76 has the same 1024 display, whereas the 6 inch model has increased resolution. So that's kind of interesting. They did the same thing with the before the 66, 76, and 86. They did the same thing where the DriveSmart 55 had more resolution than the 65. Weird. It's just Garmin does weird things, so yeah, this is weird. Essentially, this thing operates identical, well, near identical to the Drive 52. So if you know the 52, the user interface is roughly the same. Same type of buttons and so on. Same type of settings and so on. Except this one has the built-in traffic receiver, which works a treat. Oh, and I found out something else too. That USB power cable that I've been talking about, yes, it activates the traffic receiver. So you don't need a TA20. And you don't need the GTM36. You don't need the GTM60. I have this plugged in with just USB power. Maybe, yeah, I think I will link that as a pinned comment, so you can see what exactly the cable that I'm using. And, you know, sure enough, I believe it's under apps. Yeah. I'm getting traffic reports right now, and this is inside. So, cool. Okay, the number one drawback of this thing is that every favorite saved results in a big, ugly green icon on the screen that you cannot get rid of. It's not possible. That wasn't possible until the DriveSmart 66, 76, and 86. Now, I get around this, and I may show this later, by using custom POIs with a transparent icon. I don't know if I've ever done a video on that. I don't believe I have, but yes, you can make custom POIs with invisible icons. So that's how I get around that. Where there's a will, there's a way. That's the number one annoyance of this thing. The second biggest annoyance of the 65 is that it has what I call an Overblue problem. Okay, well, it's not a problem per se. Okay, I'll just describe it. This actually, excuse me, started with the DriveSmart 61. The 61 and this one, the 65, when you're looking at the color white, the camera probably doesn't show this, but I'll just describe it to you. It has a bluish tint to it. That's the color temperature of the screen, the Kelvin temperature, so to speak. The 66 does not have this problem. Garmin warmed up the color a bit on that, and it looks completely correct. This one, if you look at it and you're like, there's something about it. Again, the camera's probably not showing this, but in real life it does show this. You look at it and you say, something about this does not agree with my eyes. It is that Kelvin temperature. Absolutely. The Drive 52 does not have this problem. It's only on the 61 and the 65 that I see this. Where it really gets annoying is at night. When you're doing night driving, you do not want a cool color temperature for a screen. You just don't. Because if you do, it just looks annoying. It's not irritating per se, but you'll look at it and say, it kind of annoys me. None of the matte screens have this problem. It's just the 61 and 65 that do it. Oh, and the 55 did it too. It had that cool screen temperature thing going on. I don't know if the 76 does it. I don't believe so, but I know the 66 absolutely doesn't do it, and it has the correct color temperature for the screen. And you know you cannot adjust it. You just can't. Oh, speaking of which, okay, just talking about screens here. The DriveSmart 66 does have a slightly brighter screen than this barely used DriveSmart 65. I can see it. It looks just a little bit brighter and in a good way. And just going back to night driving for a moment, yeah, the DriveSmart 66 definitely looks better at night compared to the 65. Actually, let me switch over that to a night mode. Yeah, I don't really know if you'll be able to see this through your phone or computer monitor when you're looking at this. Again, it has a bluish tint. That's just the way this thing works. And again, there's nothing you can do about it. But okay, the advantage of the 65, I will say this though, this has maximum legibility. The fonts are giant, especially down here. Not so much this one, but down here, down there. Let me switch back over to day mode here. Back to day. There we go. Yeah. These things are, you get the big text. It's huge, which is great. That's a reason to own this thing. In addition to that, yes, we have voice control. Okay, Garmin.
Say a command.
Exit. totally works. The microphone, I'm looking at it right now. Okay, you might want to make note of this. Where is the microphone on this thing? It's in the same spot that it is on the DriveSmart 66. It's not in the front, it's not in the side, it is over the top. Yeah, it's where you can't see my finger, it's up on the top. Sometimes that can be a problem with it hearing you. Now, if you have it up against the windshield or on a beanbag mount where your voice, the sound of your voice will bounce off the windshield and hit the microphone over here, you won't have a problem. But if you mount this thing, say, in the center, like the center stack of your car where your radio is, and you put it up on a tray or something like that, you may have to yell at it a bit for this thing to actually hear you. So as I go around this thing, oh yeah, it does do the route shaping thing. So if I get rid of this and do a triple dot, edit route, and shape, so I can shape it. This route shaping is not as good as the DriveSmart 66. The 66 definitely does it better. This is still doable, and you can zoom in and just touch an area, but see, that's the thing, I've already hit the limit of how far I can zoom with this thing. Again, not as good as the 66. But then again, most people don't use route shaping. I do. I like route shaping. Oh yeah, and the let me show that the trip data fields, huge. You can change it to any one of these for the 3 fields. Fantastic. And as you can see here, as I'm just very nice. Oh yeah, this is another advantage of this, the 65 over the 66, is that the screen is not quite as sensitive as the 66 is. The 66 has a really sensitive screen on it. It's just the way it was designed. This one seems to be just right. This one is just right. Now, I think the ultimate is actually a Nuvi model, the 2599 and the 2689 and 2699. Those capacitive screens are god tier. Those things are amazing. But for these capacitive screens, it's good, but you will notice that sometimes, let me see if I can do it. Yeah, see that? Watch the animation right up at the top left here. Like, it's not totally smooth. In the 66, it doesn't get smooth either. You'll notice just a little bit of animation chop with this thing. Now, aside from that, as far as managing your favorites and searching places and such and so forth, it's easy. And again, there's been other videos on this. The traffic reporting works great, at least where I am, so it's not a problem. I don't connect this to a smartphone at all. I was able to update it with no problem at all. I did not have to add in a memory card. This thing still has about 3.5 gigs of, even after the, yeah, I might as well show that. Even after the 2025 update, there's still 3.5 gigs of space on this, so no need to add in a memory card. Good. I have not road tested this thing yet, but I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure it is. So my 2 biggest complaints, just to backtrack a little bit, is again those ridiculous icons for every favorite saved, which again can be defeated by using custom POIs with a transparent icon. Probably do a video on that in the future because I haven't done one yet. And this Overblue cool color temperature of the screen. Day driving, not so much a problem. Night driving, to my eyes, yeah, can be a problem. I'm still glad I got it. Even if someone bought one of these you can get refurbs right now for like $120. It's good, and that color temperature thing might just be a thing with me. Just so you know. I'm not saying, oh, that's a problem or whatever. Now, as for, oh, and the last thing I'll note, heat. Okay, you will read Amazon reviews that say this thing, oh, it runs hot, it burns up. Yes, it's a hot runner. I would suggest running this on a beanbag mount, and then when you park your car, just get it out of the sun. But that could be said for any of the modern models, really. So it's just a thing. It's just a thing. Essentially, the way you handle heat on this is the same way you would handle heat on your smartphone. If you mounted your smartphone on the glass of your car and you're driving on a summer day, yeah, it's going to overheat. Totally. And shut down. And so with this. So it's not like you do any better by using a phone. I mean, I prefer Garmin's, of course. Could I add anything to this? I don't think... Yeah, I don't think there is, because with my 55 video, this is just a bigger version of the 55. That's all this is. And I've listed the positives and negatives, but and I'll end on a positive. The biggest positive is the legibility. Yes, absolutely. You can read this. Just better than anything, assuming you can fit a near 7-inch screen somewhere in your car, which again is a double DIN size. Just to go back to that. So 65, yeah, I got one for cheap. I like it. I'll keep it. Nice to have as a backup.